Here we go. Hi, this is Eric Stromquist. Welcome to Control Talk Now, your smart buildings videocast and podcast for the week ending December 16th, 2018. This is episode 295, where we talk about the smart things in life. Smart controls, smart worlds, smart words, and the smartest man in the controls industry, the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only, Kenny Smyers, the control man from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Kenny Smyers, welcome to the show. Big dog.
Thank you, Eric. I wish I was the smartest man in controls.
I'm setting you up, buddy.
Listen, I had a couple good conversations with some real sharp people in the business. I was on a tech call with James Johnson from Tritium, and
he
refreshed my memory just how smart some of these guys are when they could go through some issues and do in 20 minutes what would take a regular old integrator good 2-3 hours to figure out and marshal their way through it. But no, we got a hell of an industry, and I'm very proud of it.
Well, hang on, buddy. Hang on. I set you up with the smart thing. Now, just hold on. Hold your horses here, big dog. Oh. First of all, you're right. James Johnson is one of the great. We have super smart people in the industry. As a matter of fact, we're going to interview one of them here in a bit. But here's a question, Kenny. And if you get this right, you will truly be not only the smartest guy in the industry, but the smartest guy in the world, as far as I'm concerned.
In the world?
What does everybody on the planet have in common this year? And the last time this occurred was 1,000 years ago, and the next time it will occur will be 1,000 years from now.
You told me that. I forgot already. Sugar.
Well, here it is, okay? It only happens every 1,000 years. So everybody on the planet, if you take your birthday,
right,
your age, and if you take your age and add it to the year you were born, they will all add up to 2018.
Neat. Yeah, you told me that.
Did I tell you that?
Yeah.
All right.
About a month ago.
He's the smartest man in the industry, folks, but sometimes he doesn't remember everything. But anyway, that's cool.
Well, you got to file things away under certain classifications. So you got
reveling or just something like a bet at a bar.
Well, I like you say, you blew my ears away when you started giving me the smartest guy. It used to be the smartest guy in the room, and I'm sitting by myself, so that would work.
That guy's in jail right now, so yeah.
But the
room, yeah.
no. So like you said, we have an interview coming up where you got a young guy that's just full of passion and knowledge, and came right out of engineering school and went right into a project or a job where he's involved in projects and applications and just never looked back. So every day is a challenge. They love to solve problems. They like to write algorithms that utilize the tremendous technologies that are available, and artificial intelligence and machine-to-machine mulching of data. And so so there's a lot of great things to come. Plus, as you know, I finished that book 4, so I'm all full of the new stuff here with the 4. That's the DNA for Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and Google. And wow. These 4 horsemen they're going to have a race to see who becomes the first $1 trillion business. And
I thought Amazon already did that, but
not yet.
Not yet.
In fact, Amazon and Apple are fighting back and forth pretty good, but they're up around 700 billion, 760, I think was that.
So give our community 1 or 2 key takeaways you got from it, because you and I have been talking about the book quite a bit, and I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but there are 1 or 2 takeaways that our community needs to know or could use. What would they be?
Well, there's a very interesting section at the end of the book, and it says how does this knowledge about the DNA of these 4 great companies, what does it do to somebody coming out of college or a young person? So he gives you different age groups, like where you're at professionally. But he said for a young person still going to college, he said go to college. If you can afford it, go to the best college you can. College can't hurt you. The people you meet, the professors, the mentors you can have could really take you to the next level, because it's all about creativity and innovation and proximity. He said that the most important thing to have is honesty and integrity. show up on time. And so he talks to the young people first. He talks to people in the middle of their careers, about, you probably should be looking over your shoulder every 3-4 years. If you're not invested in the company, it's always said, try to get ownership. Try to show the people you work for your loyalty and your desire to progress in their wealth chain, and take ownership of the company any way you can. If you can't, then maybe it's time to look, elsewhere or whatever. So he has all these great tips and whatever. And he talks about the nitty gritty of.
Whoa, hang on one second. One age group you didn't talk about. What about guys like us?
We're supposed to be writing books. We're supposed to be. We're supposed to be, culminating our great careers and doing our own book, because of our experience.
I think maybe we better go back to that middle one again then.
But he's talking about like the new product differentiations, and we talked about this last show, where less is more. Removal, reduction, making things, the saturation of features, overwhelm people to the point of they can't move, they can't decide, they can't do what they want to do right the first time because there's too many steps that are considerations that really aren't important. So there was a movement towards that, and that was a reduction of it. He was talking about young people, and again, the be aggressive, be energetic, take ownership for projects. There's too many things there's too many opportunities to be in the middle and not exert yourself one way or the other. And he says that there are a lot of corporations, a lot of other people are in that. They're just hanging out. They're not in there for any kind of fist fights. They're not in for any innovations. They're not really looking to see how they can apply new applications to data. He said that there's a incredible opportunity ahead for people that understand data and they can apply innovation into something, like whether it's peanut butter, mayonnaise, shoveling snow. If you could put IoT and innovation into it, make it easier, and make every shovel count and add up, so that you can say how many shovels of snow were shoveled today in the world or whatever. Just it's all there. It's data, but now make that data not just actionable and not just interesting, but make it reduce somebody else's projects or the exposure of time and energy that they have. So it's full of great ideas. He's a professor. And the book's written like he's a friend, like you're at a bar, like you always say. Yeah. He uses a little bit of profanity and mixes it up, and it kind of is cool because it's not this, driving facts and figures down your throat. It's more of a conversation, and so he just does a great job. His name is Scott Galloway, and he's 50 years old, and he talks about his dad's retirement and how his dad's wealthier than some of his friends that make 7 figures because he has a pension and he collects Social Security. And he has excess money every year. Instead of owing money at the end of the year in his retirement, he has a little bit extra that he can actually reinvest. So that's when you're successful in your retirement portfolio, is when you can maintain your way of life without going into any kind of credit or debt to do it. So that's a trick. And he said that's what you should be planning for, and you should be doing it as soon as you discover you're not happy with it. Then you should start taking moves to correct it. So just really good stuff. And like I say, he's an active professor. He talks all over the world. He always talks before Richard Brannigan and the guy Zuckerberg. He's in that low level of those high dollar speakers. But
it's interesting you would say that, because I had a buddy of mine that I went to high school with. A friend of ours passed away earlier in the week, and he came in for the funeral. And this guy's out in Silicon Valley. He's in the medical field. And this, I think, sort of gets where, innovation, just what you're sort of saying. But anyone that's had a health scare, this is really encouraging news. He was saying a buddy has just won the Peace Prize in medicine, and specifically for, typically people like cancer, for example. You got all these companies have these cancer-fighting drugs. And what this guy discovered was that our immune systems are the best way of warding off any sort of disease or whatever. And so the way he explained it to me, Kenny, was instead of attacking like a cancer, it's like this thing has ability to tell your immune system, hey, speed up. In other words, we want to put more power into it. It's like it has a steering wheel where it can direct it exactly where it needs to go. Because our immune systems apparently are fairly regulated, and this can have them go into overdrive for periods of time, and then they can slow down once the disease goes away. So this is going to change everything. Wow. And I asked him if there were any clinical tests, and he said, yeah. The first guy they did was Jimmy Carter. He had a melatonin on the brain, or melatonin on the brain, which is almost zero chance of recovery. And they apparently did this process with him, and he was up and speaking at Bush's funeral. So it's encouraging. But so first of all, it's very encouraging from that aspect. But then think of the ramifications for all the companies that are selling the drugs to fight these different things and what that would do to big pharma if this thing comes out and really works in a big time way.
Well, certainly take their dollars and move their dollars on the different, the different checkerboard pieces are going to go on different pieces of the board. But so it's fun because we'll transition into the control trends version of it. But this information is nothing but beneficial for somebody that's still sorting through their careers or is responsible for innovation in their own places at work. Whether they're in a distributor or contractor or manufacturing or service solutions. The thing is, I think getting guidance and having that's why I go into these shows, these real comms and these summits, the Tritium Summit, hearing some of the new fresh thoughts and seeing some of these great, applications, so when everybody talks about IoT and everything, if you don't have some kind of a transition, a bridge from the concept to actual doing something and seeing real people actually apply it. I think that's where you learn. You learn different ways, but some of it is listening to other people's success stories, and they give you the cliff notes. And then if you're interested, then you could dig in and create your own iteration of that.
Well, no, but I think also too is true creativity. You got to go outside your industry and then bring it back in. I mean, that's one of the best creativity strategies you can have. But listen, before we go on, we got a few people we want to shout out to, right?
Well, I got one in particular. I had a marvelous Christmas party that I was invited to, and Pat Butler, the facility manager at the Carpenters here in Pittsburgh,
hey, Pat.
He's one of our most loyal Control Trends watchers, and he always listens, always has something to say, and he works very closely with Dave Simmers. And Dave, I got a chance to have lunch with those guys, and Pat gave me a nice little KML Christmas mug, so I'll fill this full of hot chocolate, or maybe something with, maybe hit it with something there, some vodka.
A little stronger than the hot chocolate.
But so thanks, Pat. He does a great job. They get a whole bunch of facilities. He's responsible for a lot of buildings, and he's always trying to put the best innovations to work. And
nice.
So he said to say hello, and that he watches us in the. He may come down and visit us at the show January 13th. So
Pat, if you get to Atlanta, please look us up. We'd love to see you, and we appreciate your checking us out. And Kenny, you remember a few years back we had different people that would introduce the show, and remember when David Witherspoon from Honeywell came on and he had the Santa hat on and was singing the ho 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 song. Now you're listening to Control Talk Now, ho ho ho, or whatever.
Sure.
But we got to give him a shout out. He's got a big.
He sure does. I mean, time's flying. We have to congratulate David Witherspoon for 14 years at Honeywell. So he's already been with Honeywell 14 years.
Nice.
And he's moving up the corporate ladder. He does. I know he plays a lot of instrumental roles, and he wears a lot of hats for Honeywell. But he's a guy that really he knows how things work. He went from a contractor, a distributor, and he knows the industry from the ground up, and that makes you invaluable when you're trying to do innovations and come up with new products, especially with the Cypher line of controls. I'm sure he had a lot to a lot of knowledge to share, a lot of applications to share. So
he's also a super, super nice guy. Great guy. If you haven't met David Witherspoon, you get a chance to. He's somebody you want to know. Very knowledgeable, but very nice. Super good guy. Good people.
We had another great. We give a shout out to Ryan Schottfeld. He took time out to mention us in a post he did, and he thanked us in Control Trends and Eric Stromquist and Ken Smyers for what we do for the industry and about the show. So J2 Innovations. He's the Vice President of Sales for J2 Innovations now. So
nice. Well, thank you so much.
Yep.
Awesome.
And we got a couple guys. Tom Danziger starting a new position as Digital Business Development Manager at Americas at Belimos.
Nice.
And then we have Wesley Booth. He's with Siemens, and he shared a post about the U.S. Department of Labor's monthly report showing that job openings are at all-time highs. So here we are. There isn't a shortage of jobs. There's a shortage of qualified people. So and we'll be talking a little bit more about that as the show goes on too, about some of the young guns and you can talk us a little bit about Aaron
yeah. Well, absolutely. And then one other thing too, need to let people know that the voting. We've had a couple of questions about when does the voting end for the Control Trends Awards. It ends December 31st, midnight Eastern Standard Time, which is quite a fitting because we're going to be acknowledging the superstars and heroes of 2018. So you have a little bit of time left to vote. You can send that ballot out to your community. And I tell you what, with that, Kenny, let's just get into our first guest, because he is nominated for Best Technical Support Person of the Year, Small Manufacturer. How about introducing him?
I'd love to, Eric. We have another very, very sharp individual, one of those young guns. This is a technical manager, Matt Buchholz, which is a nice German name. He's a technical manager at ACI. Welcome to the show, Matt.
Welcome, Matt.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Well, we are just absolutely thrilled to have you here, Matt. And one thing that we know about ACI is they make great products and they do great tech support. And so, first of all, man, tell us a little bit about ACI. If our audience might not know what you guys do, tell them what you do and as a company and what you do personally.
Yeah, so ACI, we've been around probably right around about 27 years. So our big niche is HVAC sensors. So we're kind of our bread and butter would be temperature and humidity. So those are kind of our main hitters, but we are into the pressure business as well. And then another lineup we picked up probably about 6 years ago has been our interface lineup. So if you get a lot of, just custom applications where guys are trying to kind of interface basically some new sensors to an old system, that's a great application for something like that. So I guess just sensors has been, great thing with ACI here. So
sure.
Yeah, it's been
very well recognized name in the industry. So Matt, jumping into it, how did you get into the business? I mean, HVAC, we're trying to do, we called you a young gun for a reason. Mm-hmm. And that is that we think we have one of the greatest industries in the world. It's one of the fastest growing industries in North America. Yet we seem to have a little problem with the pipeline. We can't attract the young minds of the world, and especially technically minded, into our industry. But we always like to reverse engineer how somebody that's very successful. How did you get into the business?
Yeah, so I've been with ACI now. It'll be 13 years this April. So I got into ACI right out of college. Got into basically started in production for about. I'd say it was in production, manufacturing our temperature with LCD displays for about 2.5 years. And then I moved into the engineering side of things. So then I really got to dive into kind of, the circuitry, how the sensors worked, how we kind of designed it, our testing. I did a lot of work with, the production side of things. And then, so that was really a great thing for me. I kind of got to see, all of our products. I really got to know them. And then the one thing though I didn't see though was the actual application side of things of, how these sensors were actually, working in the real world. So I moved into tech support last January. So I've been in tech support since then. So that's been kind of the next step for me is actually, working with the customers and, getting to know how exactly these sensors are, made to work with and, how we need to set the systems up. So yeah, it's been a, really great eye-opening experience. And I've loved it ever since I got, ever since I started with ACI, and now it just kind of keeps getting better and better. So.
Well, okay, now sort of walk us through. So you're back at college.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you even find out about ACI or even the industry? My guess is that you were probably out at a bar. You saw this guy drive up and had all the beautiful girls in the car, and it was Barry Gordon, and Barry recruited you. Is there any truth to that, or how did you sort of hook up with?
Sure, yeah. Actually, no. There was a. It was actually funny because there was a friend I knew from college that actually had started working at ACI. So, and I had heard she kind of mentioned ACI in probably the last, semester. And so I kind of, right when I graduated, I was like, okay, let's see what the industry is, and came across ACI and just started kind of looking into, what products they have and kind of what I'd be doing. And I was like, that seems kind of a, cool thing to get into. So, checked it out, and been here ever since. So,
well, because I think the ACI has won many awards for its leadership in the community. It takes a really homegrown approach, and it talks about its employees and how once you start working for ACI, they retain their employees over a long the course of their careers. And I think one of those important things about ACI I've learned from contractors and from general opinion is that you've designed being an application engineer and learning about applications and then coming in technical support. one of the cool things I think they say about ACI, from the contractor's perspective, is designed with the contractor in mind. It has a lot of practical, useful features, like when you're up in a ladder and the lid falls off, but you guys have a hinge on it, so you prevent that. You've come up with a lot of innovations. Tell us about that's got to be a lot of fun. You have to have a certain passion, but you have to look at it from a contractor's perspective, or you miss the boat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because that's one thing too. And that's the thing I love about my job too, is actually talking with the customers and trying to get, hey, what's working, what's not working? Do you guys got any better ideas for us? And I think that's been kind of something that we've tried to fine tune over the years, and I think it just keeps getting better and better for us. And I find the more I talk to our customers, the technicians out in the field, the better understanding I have to see where they're coming from. Because yeah, you're exactly right. Looking back at, just our duct sensors, you go back, maybe 10 years ago, is you'd have to take the 2 screws out of the top and the bottom. And well, talking with customers, they take the 1 screw out and they're up, 20 feet in the air and
screw falls down
and nowhere to go. So that was kind of one.
It does happen.
So that was one thing that led us to the actual hinge cover, was something like that. So
it's very, very innovative, and there's a lot of great products. Just to name a couple, you have the DLP was a new product. And it's great because you have it with or without the display, and the display isn't that much before that becomes invaluable or indispensable. You got the wet to wet, the WPR 2 series. So what's your favorite product? I know we have 2 videos we're going to talk about here in a second, but everybody seems to always like one product over the other. You just had it, either because you were the product manager or designed it. What's your favorite ACI product?
I would say probably our humidity lineup. Like our humidity room product has been just rock solid. It's a great product to work with. It's it's flexible, a lot of different options, and it just, hardly get any phone calls about this thing. It's just the accuracy on it just holds over the years. Like I said, it's easy to work with. So I would say that's probably one of my main favorite products. And then also,
well, hang on a second. I want to hop in on here on the humidity product for a second, because there's so many misconceptions about, I think, humidity sensors and their accuracy and what you need. So from your perspective, as somebody who works with the humidity sensors every day, what are some misconceptions people or customers might have about humidity sensors, and what should they look for when they go to buy a humidity sensor?
Sure. Yeah. So we always start with, our main, we break them down by accuracy. So we always start with that. And then also the application side of things. So is it going into a room, going into a duct, outside, because that's very big things to know, is the application. Because what I find too is if you choose the wrong sensor for the wrong application, you're going to have problems. So, and that's my job, and our sales guys, sales at ACI here, is to actually figure out the best application for you. Because, we don't want you to get the wrong product and then have it, fail and, under a couple of years, just because, we didn't give you the correct information, or there was some, miscommunication between that. So that's kind of, I find a very big thing we take pride in around here is actually talking to the vendor, talking to the customer, seeing exactly how this sensor is going to be getting used. Because if they choose the wrong one and an issue comes up, it's they kind of look at, wow, it's not a good product, and a lot of times that's not the case. It's just the wrong application for the product. So.
Well, and I think the other thing that I like about you guys, and again, ACI has been nominated numerous times, best place to work. We know Chad and the owners of the company. We've known you guys for years. You guys have a tremendous amount of integrity. We hear some other people talk about truth in its best light. And so I think one thing I want to stress, especially with humidity sensors, is there's a difference between accuracy and repeatability, meaning that, you might be 1% accurate 5% of the time, but, you guys are pretty much rock solid with your specs. So if you guys say it's 1%, it's 1% all the time, not just a couple.
Correct. Yes. Yep. Absolutely. So, yeah.
Plus you provide the NIST certifications too, don't you?
Yes. Yep. So that's been, one thing that's definitely been increasing over the last couple of years is actually providing NIST cert with the product. So
sure, and I think the biggest testament to your quality is your 5-year warranty, because if you didn't believe in it, you sure as heck couldn't put a 5-year warranty to it. So that's why I think you guys do well. That you have the American made that logo going behind you. So you guys are doing a lot of great things. So the what do you guys got up on the plan? I see you're going to be at booth C, as in Charlie, 5430 at the AHR Expo 2018. Is there anything new and improved, or are you guys going to be showing just your whole?
Yeah, so we brought it out last year. It was just at that time it was a very small concept, but we're getting into the single point backnet temperature sensors right now. So that'll be probably a bigger showcase at the show this year. So we had just released probably about a week ago the temperature backnet, and then we'll also have a temperature and humidity combo unit with backnet. Cool. So these devices are basically, we wanted to kind of get to the market of where it's just going to be a single point. Just run your RS-45 wiring and power, and that's it. So we're hoping to really showcase that off and be a great solution for guys that are running out of analog inputs on the controller. So that's been kind of a bigger project, I would say, in the last year. So
super. Well, it's very important to keep getting something new and innovative. Looking across some of your product portfolio, as you said, you have backnet and the temperature mode, but you also have it in the gas. You've also got wireless. You've got the whole line of power meters.
Yes.
And, again, so I think you're growing your product portfolio substantially every year, and it bodes well for the future. So tell us about your site. We're at www.workaci.com.
Yes.
You've added some interesting features, including tutorials and some of the things that we're going to talk about. The very next thing is some of the videos that you have.
Yes, yep, and that's one thing that we're really trying to increase in the future here is our videos, because I find videos and pictures are
invaluable.
They're so helpful,
sure.
Especially too with and then when I'm discussing to customers or even distributors is I love creating drawings for customers, just because they can actually see something, how it's actually wired up. So instead of me trying to explain, hey, this goes to here, you can actually see it
sure.
in action. And that's the same thing with the EPC, the E to P videos, is they can actually, these are questions that we get, asked about a lot. So it's like, well, hey, let's just make a video, show exactly how they operate. So just to help everyone out there.
Right. Well, we had a good post on that this morning. We put your ACI interface devices solving problems while saving time and money. But you do a really good job. The one that's a 7-minute video on the, I believe it was the PX.
Yep, PXP. Yep.
And tell us about some of those features, because again, it's very evident that you have a passion for this stuff and you enjoy it, because you're having responsibility for not only making it but then supporting it. Tell us about some of the cool things about that particular product.
Yeah, so with the EPC and the PXP, they're both voltage to pressure transducers. So we get a lot of applications where people are just doing sure. retrofits, and they still need to support the pneumatic side of things. So the EPC has great features. It's you do have an offset and a span adjustability with it, and then you also do have doing the initial commissioning. You can also do a manual adjustability with it, just to make sure that your actuator damper is closing 100%. You don't want it to let's say you're running your full analog input signal and you run into, oh hey, well, my damper's only at 90%. So you get a lot of flexibility with something like that. So then also the panel mounting, the DIN rail capabilities of it. So,
well, every once in a while too is this product selection. Sometimes people wanted to fail safe, but they didn't pick it out, or they needed to bleed, but they didn't do it. Tell us the variations between the basic unit and then the 2-valve unit and then the bleed unit.
Yeah, so the bleed unit basically has there's usually on the EPC there's only one option for the bleed basically, but yeah, it's used in a system where you still need to have that bleed. But the nice thing too with that is you still have the fail-safe option with it. Now the bleed is going to be it'll take longer for your dampers to completely open up. So if you have dampers or actuators where you need it to let's say it takes a minute to ramp up completely, that would be a great selection for, for an application like that versus, and then you have our 2-valve where, if you hit it with a analog input voltage, that thing's going to instantaneously, open up basically to your set level. And then you also have the fail safe where it's going to be doing exactly the same as your 2-valve, but on a power loss, it's going to branch. It's basically going to exhaust all your pressure from your branch line, basically allowing, a branch or a damper and actuator to fully open or close.
That's where I screwed up once or twice. You guys helped me out. We got we didn't get the fail-safe one. We got
sure. Okay.
And I learned that lesson. So
yeah. Well, Matt, you are up for Best Technical Support Person of the Year at the Control Trends Awards, and ACI has won Best Company Tech Support several years, and you guys are up again for that. So my question for you is, what makes a good tech support person? And what makes a good tech support company?
Sure. Yeah. I would say first and foremost, it's being available, because that's kind of one big compliment that we always get is we're super easy to get a hold of. There's usually not any type of a, wait on it. And, unfortunately talking with other techs, they'll mention a couple of companies and it's like, I got to wait 5, 10, 15, 30 minutes, an hour to get back to you. And it's like, for us, you can just, call the number and we're available right away for it. So that's always, number one. And then the second one is, really jumping in and trying to decipher, what's happening with,
sure.
With it. So, 'cause there's just, it's a world of gray. There's so many different, things that could happen. Is it on the system side of it? Is on our sensor side of it? Is the power side of it? So it's really, trying to decipher all this different information in a timely fashion to basically help these guys out. Because I know, it's a very time sensitive industry. Everyone needs it done, and I totally understand that. We want to get them helped out as soon as we can. So yeah, I feel we have such a great technical support team. We all kind of lean on each other to help each other out, and it's always good to bounce.
Plus, it sounds like you got a lot of depth there. It sounds like you got more than one person. I think the reason why the callbacks are is because people they don't have very much paint and they can, and they're trying to paint a floor and they run out of paint. Just the bandwidth isn't there. And I've noticed that too. You guys got a great technical support staff.
Well, I think that probably starts at the top, doesn't it, Matt? Again, knowing some of the owners of the company and over the years, it seems like there's, obviously tremendous pride in the product and what you guys do.
Absolutely.
But speak, if you will, about how does, because you're part of the leadership team there, how do you guys get everybody on the same page to provide these levels of service?
Yeah, so I feel we do, the biggest thing is communication with us. I can't state that. That's extremely important to me and my department. It's all about communicating with each other to see, if one person has one problem, we all basically get together and bounce everything off of each other, because more than likely, maybe, the one person probably ran into it before. And that's what I find is key. It's just communication with each other. So the better communication you have, the easier it is to get it accomplished, I find. So
very cool. Very cool. So Matt, sort of along those lines, tell us about have you had some mentors that have helped you along the way?
Sure. Yeah. So one mentor here at ACI is Rob Kapanos. He's been, Rob's basically been here since the beginning. I think he has about 30 years experience in the industry, and he's just one of those guys that, he's given me a lot of pointers and just great information. And, biggest thing with him is, I kind of brought it up before. You have a lot of, different parts that could happen. It's not just hey, you need to check this, you need to check that. It's everything in between. So that can be the challenging thing of it, but it's also, I find, makes my job, makes me really, prove it and, work for it. So I do enjoy that.
Well, it's got to be tricky. I looking at the video and seeing how you set up, you obviously have, the bench stock, and you have a great testing lab. You can basically recreate most every condition out there. So when you're trying to figure out what's not working or where the problems are, where the goblins and ghosts are hiding, it's because you guys pretty much have a pretty comprehensive knowledge of most of the building automation systems out there. There's not very many that you haven't run into. There's hardly any sensors that you can't make a compatible or make a replacement to. But so you obviously have a great work environment to do that troubleshooting. So I have a question kind of that's going to be an open-ended one, but we talk a lot about the IoT, and everything, and I see you guys are moving more, like taking the direction of BACnet. Where do you see IoT and ACI? Where do you see yourselves, becoming part of that, that data stream, just pushing data everywhere? Sure.
Yeah. So we're just kind of starting to get into that right now, but we definitely have seen that as a, it's the future and it's coming. So we need to be prepared for it. So yeah, so we're just kind of starting to get into the IoT things, of it right now. So that's hopefully going to be, definitely incorporated in a lot of our, newer products, hopefully coming, down the road right now. So just all about, integrating and.
Sure. Do you see the day that you're going to take your sensor right up into the cloud and all the other, or do you still see the necessity of field level devices and supervisor controllers? I mean, it's not magic. It's going to take a lot of time and a lot of technology and a deployment of that technology. So I think it's quite a long roadmap there. But
yes, so we I would say it would. That's definitely something we'll integrate eventually into it. But right now it's just as the it's an open market right now with it. So
you guys are doing a great job. So I don't think you need to do anything too new too soon. But
sure.
Well, listen, I got another question for you, Matt.
Sure.
So I run into this a lot. You'll hear people, and I usually make sales calls, and they'll go, "Well, I bought a Delta system. I'll just buy my sensors from Delta." To the consumers out there that are, going back to the manufacturers to buy their sensors, what would you say to them?
I would say that with what I always run into with something like that is, starts with me here. You have one, so if they have an issue with that controller, they're going to be spending over an hour waiting on tech support, I find. And people bring this up all the time is we buy your sensors for the ease of it and the ease of getting a hold of you guys for questions, and
right.
And a lot of our products are, they've been rock solid. So, I mean, speaks for itself. So basically the support behind the product is, we're here for them. So,
well, and here's the other piece that I've found, and you correct me if I'm wrong here. I'm going to go out on a limb, but I've told people this for years because I think it's true. If you've got a big campus, for example, or multiple buildings with multiple different systems in, you're already having to stock multiple different controllers because you got different systems. So if you're looking for a way to sort of pare your cost down, your sensors will work with anybody's system, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
But at least at the sensor level, you can consolidate.
Yeah, that's the nice thing. It gives you great flexibility, with it. And some of the controllers that we haven't been compatible with has basically just been due to the the BACnet side of things, and that's now we now have a solution for that. So yeah, that's a great point that you pick up. It's just you have so many different options with it.
Right. So one last thing a tech in the field has to know is instead of knowing 10 or different controls, you can know one or two sensors and use them across his portfolio of building automations.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Cool. Kenny, I got another one unless you do.
Well, no, I just was going to just give you a compliment because I know many times we didn't have a product and you guys have come up and made one for us. And that's a good thing about, a very innovative, agile manufacturer versus somebody that makes this is what we make, and if it doesn't fit, then we're sorry, or make the square thing fit in that round thing if you know what you're doing. But the reality was that you guys have made things to mock old sensors that weren't made anymore, and you've come up with a lot of solutions. So I think that's another thing too to the Control Trends community, that when you're trying to find a solution and there isn't one in any catalog or online anywhere, to give Matt a call and the boys up at ECI and see if they can't create up with an innovative solution and maybe even manufacture you something special, unique.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. Yeah, we get those calls quite a bit trying to, trying to get old sensors replaced. So, and usually we do have a solution. So,
sure.
Well, I tell you, as we wind up our interview here with Matt, first of all, Matt, thank you so much for taking time to be on the show. Matt is up for Best Technical Support Person at the 2018 Control Trends Awards. My final question for you, Matt, is what is the best piece of advice you've gotten regarding being a technical support person or a support person, and what is the best piece of advice you have given to somebody regarding technical support?
Sure. Yeah, I would say the best advice given is the answer's out there, and it's just up to you to to find out what the issue is. So, and it's all about how much time and effort you put towards it. So I would say that's been the best advice I've been given from Rob, and Barry's been great help too. And it's it's all about trying to find the problems there, or there's an issue. So it's just up to you to find it. So that's
be tenacious. Yeah.
Very cool. And what about the best advice you've given to maybe a youngster coming in the industry that wants to get involved in tech support in this industry? What piece of advice have you given, or would you give?
Sure. Biggest thing is, I would say, just patience, and then making sure that you completely understand what the customer is needing or what the issue is. You need to, just sit back, be extremely observant and listen to everything that they say, because you miss just one small thing. I mean, that could be the issue right there. So I would say, just being, got to be persistent with it, and just have your ears, wide open.
Very, very cool. Well, listen, we can see ACI and hopefully Matt and the team in Atlanta, not only at the Control Trends Awards, but at AHR. You guys have a booth down there, I believe, right, Matt?
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. Yep. We'll be there.
5430, Charlie 5430.
Charlie 5430. So go by and tell Matt, say hi to Matt and the rest of the team. If you see Barry Gordon, tell him, you're still beautiful, baby. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Much appreciated.
All right, Kenny. Well, that was great stuff from Matt. And we had a couple of posts. What do you say we go through them real quick before we bring on our next guest?
Yeah, Eric, I'd rather just read everything off to everybody. Like you say, please visit the site, and there's some good stuff, and they all have videos to accompany them. All right, the first one we have, Eric, is Belimo's CSM. It's small devices being impact, creating customer value. This is Lars Vanderhagen, and he's quite a guy, but he's a hands-on guy. He starts the video out just talking about this incredible, all-encompassing, powerful philosophy in creating customer value with a concept called CSM. And this is for comfort, energy efficiency, safety for people in their property, while ensuring easy installation and commissioning and reduced maintenance effort. Quite a concept, and they're building all their applications and their products based on this incredible philosophy. So it's kind of cool.
Well, it seems like they've been doing that all along, Kenny. If you think about it, their products have always, to my own knowledge, done that. And one of the great companies in our industry, and Lars, we got the chance to spend some time with Lars, a fantastic individual. And I think it's only fair to mention that they're taking that philosophy and they are sort of revolutionizing the way sensors are doing. Sensors are being done. So good stuff there. And Belimo's on the ballot for many, many products and many, many services. So if you haven't voted yet, Belimo's a good choice.
Absolutely. Next up, Eric, we have Contemporary Controls. These guys, the Contemporary Controls continues its mission of building on BACnet by introducing a BASTET. It's a series of BACnet compliant wire-to-wireless communicating thermostats that are BTL listed to ensure effortless integration into the BACnet IP, Wi-Fi, or BACnet MSTP, which is the ETA-485 network. So congratulations to George Thomas and the team there. Again, these guys they're silent but deadly. I mean, they're making market growth, and these thermostats will get their share of market sales, I'm sure, because if Contemporary Controls did it and put it out, it's BTL listed, it works. So
I got a couple of calls from a couple of my contractors when they saw that post that went out. They were just so thrilled that they've got that BACnet interface now because, again, Contemporary Controls is known for their quality products and their great customer support.
Sure. And then last but not least is a preview to what our first guest was all about. So it's just a repeat, basically, but it's his actual videos. And the reason why this one is good is many times when you pick out products, there are differences in features and there are critical selections in the application. And what's really cool about the videos that we have there and links from Control Trends to the specific product data sheets is that if you're making a selection, this will help you avoid any mistakes. Excuse me.
Well, very, very cool. And Kenny, we have a thing called the Control Trends Podcast Network. And our vision sort of was we would produce podcasts for anybody that really had something to say in the smart building controls industry. There was one that got started a while back called Next Generation Innovation, which was specifically for the younger folks in our industry. And I think, as you and I both know, I mean, podcasting is not for the faint of heart. Not that necessarily doing it's that hard, but actually showing up to do it is the really hard part. So that one, we had a couple of episodes and it just sort of fizzled. But Aaron Gorka from Ant Technologies, and that's a name. He's a young gun from the Control Trends Awards. Ant Technologies has fantastic software that he works with contractors on, and Aaron is taking over that podcast, Next Generation Innovation, and he was in studio this week. We were producing episode 1, which is actually episode 3 in the series. So without further ado, here's Aaron Gorka to talk a little bit about the Next Generation Innovation podcast. Aaron is taking over a podcast that's really geared to the younger generation coming in. So talk about the podcast, if you would, Aaron.
Yeah, we're taking it over from Rob Allen and a couple of his partners. You'll be able to name them better than me. It's called Next Generation Innovation, right? Or NGI, as we're going to roll with it. So what it's going to be all about is giving our next generation, like the young guns of the industry, a voice to, share what they want to see in the industry.
Yeah, very, very cool. And Kenny and I have done a lot of studies. I mean, we got so many of the gray hairs and no hairs that are getting ready to leave the industry. There's going to be a real dearth or lack of talent in our industry. And so I think part of what we're trying to do, I think what you're going to be doing is, hey, this is a fantastic industry. How do we attract younger people into the industry? And when you get them in the industry, how do you keep them here?
Well, and that's, getting people in is one piece of it. And it's something I've learned and applying best practices that I've learned. And sometimes, and it's the most sad, sometimes millennials are just going to move on. They want to experience something different, but whether it be like a formal HR in a big organization or something different, right?
Well, I think the thing that our industry is kind of one of the best kept secrets. There's one thing I think most millennials, for the most part, they're really concerned about the environment, right? And this is one of the few industries you can come in and you're not put in a cubicle farm. I mean, you can have a direct impact on the environment. You can see it with the data and the data analytics, and it's kind of something new every day. Has that sort of been your experience that you found since you've gotten in the industry?
Oh, you know what? I wouldn't work anywhere else for a few reasons. One, I love the people of this industry. It's low key. I mean, very rarely you want to put a suit on when you want to look good, but you're not wearing a suit every day. I wear Nikes every day. I got nice Nikes, but that's part of what keeps me here. And yeah, it's one of the few places you can tangibly grab energy savings that do help the environment within our control. You know what I mean?
Well, you can, and of course, it pays well, so you can afford nice Nikes if that's what you want, right?
Oh, man, this is like, I tell you what, in Toronto, there's probably very few better jobs than a building automation system tech, and I can't speak for everywhere because I don't employ everywhere, but, I went to business school, and I came out, making $40,000 a year, Canadian dollar, right? And you spend 4 years in trade school, you're coming out, you're humming close to 60, 65, if you work overtime, you're humming 80. I mean, that's, for a kid, that's a lot of money,
What is, and so I think the pay's there, but I think more than that, it seems like the challenge is there, because I think, younger people tend to like a lot of different challenges. Guess what? You don't have to go to different jobs, because it's almost like having different jobs within whatever job you're working at in this industry.
Oh, yeah, there's different roles. Think, okay, BAS, you can break it down into, low voltage electrical guys, which may even break it down further. They're doing wire, they're putting conduit in, right? From the automation side, you can be designing it on AutoCAD or Visio, programming it, commissioning is a different task, and service is a different discipline. So if you're looking for, if you're a kid out there and you're looking for something, dynamic and never the same, there's a career here in various different spots.
Oh, very cool. Well, tell us about, what do you hope to accomplish with Innovation Generation?
Well, I'd like to do a couple things.
Or is it Next Generation Innovation?
Yeah, Next Generation Innovation. That's okay. That's my job.
So what do you hope to accomplish with Next Generation Innovation?
Well, I want to do a couple things. First of all, I want to keep in touch with all the friends, I guess, I've made in this industry. Selling software is proving to be expensive and slow, right? Contractors are busy, and that's a fine reality. So are distributors and their salespeople. So I hang out right between it all. So first of all, I need a way to keep in touch with all the friends. Secondly, we want to give that voice to the kids to share it towards, the veterans, we'll call it, of the industry. But we need it guided too. So I'm looking at a segment called like Words of Wisdom, say, from the veterans, who will also share, say the 5 very key things that a kid needs to know.
No, so true, so true. Oh, shit. Yeah. Okay. So true, Aaron. And I think, all of us once were younger kids coming into an industry. And I think one of the common things there is you have like a lot of great ideas. You get a fresh perspective. And I think, some of the older people in the industry, they don't always appreciate that. So I think part of it is the way that people can tune in as well and get some of these fresh ideas and these fresh perspectives.
Well, I think as we get maybe older, more veteran in the industry, you get kind of probably tainted by the struggle of it. I mean, this is not an easy industry to be in, on whether you're on the contractor side, distributor side. Manufacturing is a little different too,
right.
But
it's challenging.
It's really hard. So I think, maybe the veterans, maybe this can be part of the first batch of it, right? The veterans don't necessarily not want to hear the ideas. It's just they're overwhelmed with all the other things they got to actually solve, right? The real problems that cost a lot of money.
Right, and this way they can listen to it on their own time frame, which is one of the really great things about podcasting. So.
Yeah.
Well, that's so cool. And Aaron, you are a young gun, a Control Trends young gun. Tell our community what a young gun is and what that means to you. And also, you're going to be inducting the next class of young guns at the Control Trends Awards.
Yep. Last year, you guys inducted me in. Thank you very much. It was, it really did pull me in and help make sure that, I can commit to things like this moving forward, and to also help, right? That reciprocity we talked about, you give me. And, what that did for me was, frankly, it just allowed me and my old man or my dad to sit beside each other and smile big and be, share pride. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Proof that, while he's sending me around the world selling software, I'm not just messing around, So that was a good thing. Young guns, you know what? There's a difference, and particularly millennials, right? There's the bratty, lazy stereotype that's come about, and that exists, all right? Any young person that falls into that category will never, they need to make a brain shift to become a young gun.
Right.
The young guns are the driven, committed. Smarts is one thing, but, smarts is relative to whatever you're doing. But those driven to really change the industry, stick around it and thrust it forward through this massive change that's coming, man. This is we're seeing it everywhere with tradesmen already, particularly HVAC guys. We need to bridge that gap. And I think whoever is a young gun, I think that's the responsibility we have, is to bridge that gap.
Well, right. And I tell you what, the young guns, you recognize them. The companies that are lucky enough to have young people, and we've recognized them at Control Trends. You know who they are. Mm-hmm. They get that certain something extra. And the reason we like to honor them is because, they haven't had 20 or 30 years to be recognized like, us old guys were. So we want to recognize them early and often. But
and that's truthfully, that's like one of the strategies for millennials is honestly, we just need pats on the back. What I mean? And that's, maybe it's just our, company. I don't think it is, though. It's hard come by to get a pat on the back, and that could be that generational gap too. Like, you guys, it was just nice to not to get a kick in the butt, never had a nice pat on the back, but we didn't grow up that way, and we need confirmation when we're not sure. And this is a scary industry. So.
Yeah. Well, all industries are scary right now, but we're kinder, gentler, scary than most of them. But so tell us a little bit about Ant Technologies and what Ant does.
Ant was born out of our contracting, our HVAC service and control company. Started in basically the need to get rid of paper in our business. And you'd be shocked. This was 8 years ago. We started down this endeavor. We thought it'd be a lot easier than it has been, and we've been selling it commercially for 3 years. Right. We're entering our third renewals with all the same contractors, so that's exciting. But really, it became a need just to get better information from the field back to the office, so the office people can do a better job or have an easier job moving the information that they receive.
Right. Well, and you're going paperless, like you say, and that's the way you got to go. It's seamless, and then you guys have all kinds of checks and balances. So if somebody forgets to write something down or a piece of paper gets lost.
Coffee, dog ate it.
Yeah. But, you guys have done some studies, too. It's quite a bit of money that you save by going paperless like this, right?
Oh, yeah. No, in all the cold calling that we did over the last few years in North America, about 20%. Some states are more than others. Like Arkansas, it's probably closer to 60. Corey at R&E, we're going after that next year.
Right.
But yeah, 20% of contractors are still on paper out there. And I make the calls with people, and they answer it, and it's like, yeah, we're still doing service, and oh wow, right? They can hear my voice, and
Yeah.
they've even said like, "Are we the last people in town on paper?" It's like, yeah.
When you guys have a real affordable solution, and that's one of the really cool things. I know our customers and clients that have worked with you have been very, very pleased with what you've come up with. And of course, you're a hustler. You're a young gun millennial hustler.
Yeah, I'm here to help, man. I grew up in the trades, but carrying tools since I was 3, but I never graduated beyond helper.
Yeah.
And I'm an expensive helper in the industry now. Woohoo! I made it.
Woohoo.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, mom, right now.
Well, listen, you got episode 1 getting ready to drop.
Yep.
Tell our community about what they can expect on episode 1.
Episode 1 is going to be emerging leaders from Hardy. Hardy put on a really great event, and I was fortunate to go. They accepted me there, and it honestly, it's very rare you get to sit in a room and be like, this is where I need to be.
Yeah.
And that was one of the feelings I had. So I interviewed 4 fellas there, all young guns, 2 from Mexico, 1 from Hardy, 1 from Nebraska as well. And yeah, they have really good perspectives, and it's worth hearing it.
Oh yeah, that's great. Well, again, I think one of the great purposes is it gives the young guns a voice to get their ideas out there, and we got to have their ideas, we got to have their perspective. So I applaud what you're doing here. If somebody wants to be on your show, how do they get hold of you?
They're going to email. It's probably the simplest way. Aaron, AARON, G at AI or ANT technologies.ca.
Right. And if you want to get into software, you can get them there too, right?
Absolutely. I mean,
So,
one of the things about that is when you pick a software company to work with, it's not just the product. I hammer that. Episode 2 that we'll be doing is the future-proof your business, or maybe 3, but whatever. Future-proof your business presentation from Momentum, and I hammer on what you need to do if you're looking to adopt software.
Very, very cool. All right, Aaron Gorka, the hardest working man in show business. Thank you for doing the podcast. Thank you for showing up and at the Control Trends Awards and being our presenter this year. We appreciate what you do. Pat on the back.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Pat back, you know what I mean? You need them too,
Yeah,
right?
we sure do. We sure do, brother. All right. Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you.
Wow, man. Wow, that's pretty cool, Eric. I like the black and white. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Well, and Aaron is just such a great guy, so we're excited about that episode. His first episode will drop next week. We'll post it on the Control Trends, and you'll be able to also pick that up in the iTunes store or on Stitcher Radio, all the regular sources. So we're excited about that, and I think we're going to see great things from Aaron. And if you're a younger person want to be on Aaron's show, he's definitely up for that. And if you want to be on our show, for crying out loud, we've got a link you can get posted right there on it, and just click on the link and reach out to me and Kenny. We'd love to have you on the show.
Indeed.
So with that, Kenny Smyers, it's been another week on Control Talk Now, your smart buildings videocast and podcast. As we move into the holidays, the man, the myth, the legend, I wish you guys the very, very best. We appreciate you tuning in. Be safe this holiday season. Remember, be bold, stay in control, and stay relevant.
Indeed, Eric.
Indeed, Kenny Smyers.
Hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing? In Christmas times, we'll be chilling and having a good time.